Cutshall. It's Brigitte Cutshall with Real Things Living. Today, my guest is the awesome Diandra Ford-Wing. She has an amazing background as an innovative sales director, and she's also an author of a debut novel. Can you say hi, Diandra?
I can say hi. Hi, everybody.
I'm so glad to have you on. And one thing that we were talking before we recorded, we are both have a similar background as Army brats.
Yes, ma'am.
It really I appreciate that now, just as you probably did too, of having that moving around so much helps you
Mhm.
deal with change, constant change, and it makes me wanna just explore some more much more, right?
Yeah, it really does. It doesn't make you rooted in anything. It doesn't keep you tied to places, and that's one thing we were talking about before we started recording.
Yeah, it's, you're tied to other people like you maybe,
Yeah.
but people understand, that it's just hard being a military, child in a military family.
Yes,
I
it
think it
is.
kinda is. I didn't wanna marry a guy in the military, to be honest. I did it. I met my future husband, he was in the military, but we waited,
Oh,
um, until he got out for because
smart.
I just because I experienced it as a child, and it's hard on the moms or the wives or whatever.
Yeah, my mom, she did a phenomenal job. God
Correct.
love her. She really did. She made every house that we lived in feel like a home.
Oh, awesome. That's
Yeah.
good, and she knew that she had to be there for you.
Oh my gosh.
Did you have siblings?
Yes, I have a twin sister, her name is Dion,
Oh,
and then
wow.
I know that I have an older sister, her name is Lincia, and I have an older brother named Terry.
Okay. I have an older brother named John and a younger sister. So it was my brother that probably I should say
Yes.
protected me just
Yeah.
because I don't know, we were more adventurous. I grew up in the 70s. So we were a little wild. I should say wild, but he protected me. I really appreciate that too at the
That's
time.
wonderful.
Yeah, you got to appreciate the people that are there to support you. And that's something we learn as we get older. And I think
Mhm.
I was just thinking of why you probably wrote your book.
Yeah.
You're reflecting on that, the red bird. So what made you compelled to write this?
Well, I don't think it was a compulsion so much as a necessity for me to grieve the loss of my mom and my aunt within close proximity of each other. I really, what started off as just a simple journal entry for me turned into what is now Redbird. And I really meant it as a love letter to those wonderful women in my life who I lost. And it's been a year and a couple of months now since my mom passed. And about 10 months after she did, well, actually 9 months or so, that's when I started writing, like right after she died. It was just, I had to do it.
I couldn't imagine that. It's
No.
my mom is the only one that's still here in the family. You know,
Oh, wow.
on both sides of my husband and I, my mom is the only one left. And
Oh,
so
wow.
she's feisty, but I really appreciate, I don't know how your mom's personality was, but my mom was, I should say feisty, but
I would say my mom was feisty.
yeah,
Oh
right,
my goodness. Yes,
in a
she
good
was.
way.
In a
And
great way.
yes, they were good role models, and they had a tough environment that they were in.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. I mean, my mom was born in 54. So she was 70 when she passed. She had just made 70. And she died a month later, but she lived a very colorful life, I will say, as an educator.
Oh, cool.
She really inspired me. She taught English for about almost 40 years, and she taught at the high school level. And she just really embodied everything that you would think a woman of her caliber would be. She was rooted in a deep sense of self. And I'd like to think that that got passed on to me and my sisters and my brother because we're all very settled with who we are as people. And I can attribute that to her.
I have a lot of respect for people who choose to be teachers
Yeah, she
because
came from a long line of them.
it's so important. That's something that we need to respect more. We need to
Hmm.
like you said, it just helps figure out who you want to be, especially as the parent teaching your kids.
Yeah.
My mom taught English, but she was teaching it to kids who didn't speak, because
Oh, so English as a second
yeah,
language.
she was
Yeah.
because she speaks more. But that was important. Again, I didn't. When you're a kid, you don't really realize that. But you're
Mhm.
absorbed in that environment. But she didn't do that full time. But she did it as a side thing. I should say side thing. But
Yeah,
she was helping. We helped a lot of Vietnamese refugees,
I love that.
and they. I shouldn't say refugees. They were orphans. Excuse me. The kind of environment.
Yeah.
So she chose to help them speak English, which I think is funny. My mom, sorry, I'm going off tangent here, taught me to speak English, and I said it backwards because she's French. So you switch the adjectives and stuff like that around, but
Yeah, you do. I took French in high school,
so you
actually.
understand. So I was saying things backwards sometimes, but it's still that's probably where we get our sense of humor from that kind of environment.
Yes.
And your aunt, is that what your mom's sister, or was it related
She
to?
was my mom's youngest baby sister.
Okay,
My mom was the eldest out of 6 kids.
wow.
And yeah, so wow, there were just so many of them. But my aunt Audrey, or we called her affectionately Sean because her middle name was LaShawn, she became an expat, picked up and moved from the United States over to the Gambia in West Africa, and was never seen from again. And having to mourn her death the way that we did without, physical presence was a very, very tricky thing to navigate.
And we didn't have like Zoom back then for you to even communicate with her, right? Right.
Well, actually,
Did you?
this just recently happened. So she moved to the Gambia back in, geez, I want to say it was 2021
Okay.
is when she moved. It might have been 2022, but all that to say, she had been there for 8 months and then she ended up dead.
Do you know what happened or?
Well, so she was set to marry this gentleman, and I use the term loosely because I know nothing about this gentleman, but they were set to marry, and 2 weeks before they were to do so, she died. And he had called my mom because my mom was still living then. And it was like a 5 a.m., one of those gut wrenching phone calls that you don't want to get at any hour, but let alone 5 a.m. on a Sunday. But he ended up calling her and saying that Audrey, my aunt, was gone. And she was like, "What do you mean gone? To the store? I mean, where did she go? Did you see her before she left?" I mean, that's what she was thinking about. And he was like, "No, no, no, no. She's no longer with us. She's passed on. She passed away last night." And my mom, in a fit of terror, just called my older sister, and my older sister called me, and we all like went down to my mom's town and just tried to make heads or tails of it. And I knew that going into it, because we didn't have the specifics, we didn't have police officers calling us, we didn't have any officials calling us, that I would have to do some serious digging. So the very next day I went to work on a Monday, and I went into my office and I started making phone calls. I made a spreadsheet of all the phone calls that I made, and finally got a hold of the US Embassy over in the Gambia after many, many tries.
That's good. Did they have any clue?
Well, I mean, they weren't interested in
Okay.
trying to help us figure out if this was a case, if you will, if it was like, if there was some foul play, but I gave them the information of the guy that she was set to marry, and then we went about the business of trying to figure out if I can ID her body, and I ended up identifying her body over a WhatsApp call.
Oh wow.
I
So
know.
how old was she? I'm assuming early
53.
53.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, that is young.
Yes. And the way that she died was eerily similar to the way that my grandmother, their mom, had died. She basically, my grandmother never woke up. They said that she'd had a stroke.
Oh,
And the same thing kind of happened with my aunt Sean, but I don't know. When I made the meeting to have the body identified, I didn't know what to feel, but the guy was like, I'm going to pan up and down her body. And when I get to her face, I need you to tell me if this is your aunt or not. And so it was the longest minute and a half of my life having to sit there and watch him pan up and down her body. But when he got to her face, I was like, that's her. That's my aunt.
Yeah, that is, I'm sure, traumatic just to see that on.
It was very traumatic,
Right,
and my mom didn't want to see her like that. So
right.
it was my responsibility to make that determination.
I'm glad that you went and did some, curiosity helped you try to figure this out.
Yeah, I had to. So I ended up opening up a trust for her in the Gambia and just to pay for things like pay for the help that we got with the coroner, with the medical examiner, and eventually we ended up having her body buried there in a Christian cemetery. So I paid for the casket, paid for the burial plot, and it just was a tumultuous time for us. It was the longest 3 or 4 months of my life.
I bet that's just the thought of that, and especially being in a different country, you couldn't go
Yeah.
be there, and your mother was her older sister. How
Yeah.
much longer after this did this happen? Did your mother pass away?
14 months later.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a tough year for you guys.
It was really tough because we were already still reeling from the really unanswered death of my aunt. Even though we had gotten the autopsy report back and all that, it still to me was inconclusive. Inconclusive enough for me to believe that in some vein that
Your yeah, your
yeah,
your
yeah.
instinct is telling you that.
I
Oh,
know, I know. And it just, I don't know. It really twists my guts when I think about it to this day.
so the title of your book is Red Bird. What does that mean? Why did you choose
Yeah.
that?
So the red bird, okay. So when my grandfather died in 2019, we all went to Georgia to go to the funeral. And we were sitting at the repast after the funeral at his house, and he had a big yard in front. And my niece, Jaden, she happened to be looking out the window. We were just, sitting around eating, doing what you do after a funeral, just fellowshipping and whatnot. And she said, "Oh, guys, look, there are two cardinals out there." And my mom was like, "Oh, that's just nothing but, granddaddy telling us he's made it to the other side." And from that moment on, I knew that I was going to assign that symbol to anyone, anything that was dear to me that I've lost. That was the symbol that I ended up using to kind of guide me through the loss of my granddad, the loss of then my Aunt Sean, and now the loss of my mom.
I like that you're using the bird I should say analogy, but it is.
Yeah.
We need to heal somehow, and I
Yeah.
like talking to animals and birds. That's just me. I think
Yeah.
they're very smart.
They're very smart, and the thing is that you don't see them, especially on this side of the world. I live in Texas, and we don't really see cardinals too very much, but, um, I was really mad at my mom a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking out loud to her in my bedroom, and I was like, Mom, I'm really mad at you because I haven't seen you in a long time. Like, she hasn't come to me in my dreams. She hadn't come to me like a thought or memory or anything. I didn't see a red bird in so long, not since she had passed. And the very next day, I'm taking my dogs out on a walk, and the neighbor's house next door there was a flash of red, and it was the most brilliant red bird I have ever seen in my
Wow.
entire life, and I was like, "Thank you, mom. Thank you for acknowledging that you're still here with me."
I like that. That is
Yeah.
that I really believe that she probably was there.
She was listening. I was so angry to the point where I was, like, upset and crying and just wanting her to come visit me, just to come to me in a dream even, but she showed herself the next day in the form of a red bird.
I love that. That is,
Yeah.
and now as you're talking about cardinals, right, we have a lot here in Georgia. I live
I know,
see them a
they're
lot.
everywhere, and so I think the poignancy of seeing one here in Texas, it's that much more, real and that much more raw when you see one here, because I know that that is just her way of saying, "I'm still here.
And
And if
that
you need me, just holler."
I love that.
Yeah.
She's just looking over you and your whole family, not just you, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. Like, my sister sees them all the time because my sister ended up taking residence up in my mom's house after she had passed. And we were all like, "Are you sure do you want to not just sell it?" Or she was like, "No, mom worked hard for this house after her and my dad got divorced. So I want to honor her and keep this family in the house." And so we all decided collectively that we do that. And so she now lives in the home and she gets visits by redbirds all the time, like at least twice or 3 times a week.
I love that. I think
Yeah,
that is so cool that you're acknowledging that, the
yeah,
presence of those birds. I love that your sister, is involved. And I
yeah.
just think it's great that even though we have the crazy army brat, you're really close with your family.
Oh my
Like,
god,
I
super
think
close.
that is so important.
It's so important. Now, mind you, my mom's sisters, my aunts, I no longer speak to.
Okay.
I mentioned that in the book only because it was something that still bothers me to this day, but, only one of them came to her funeral from her family. Only one.
Wow. Where was her funeral at? What state was
It
it?
was in Texas, here in
Okay.
Texas. We did
Okay.
not have it in Georgia. She had expressly written in her last will and testament that she wanted to be buried wherever we were.
Okay.
And so all of her kids are in Texas now, and she expressly also wrote that she did not want to be buried. She wanted to be cremated. And she'd actually X'd out burial on her will. She hand wrote, and then signed next to it her name that she wanted to be cremated. So we were like, "Okay, mom, you got it."
Did you
We're
spread her ashes or did you
So I haven't really found a good place. I can't think of for the life of me where I should. But the other day, um, I have these 3 shrubs. They're Japanese privets in my front yard, and I have a xeriscaped landscape. So that means there's only rocks, no grass,
right.
except for these 3 trees. One of them died. And I pulled it up by the root because it was completely gone. And so I went to the store and I bought a new one, a Japanese privet. This one was more sunshine yellow, and the other 2 are green. And I was like, "I think mom would like this tree." And so what I did was me and my husband dug up the hole to put the tree in, and I put some of her ashes in it as well. And I just planted it in the hopes that it will grow into something beautiful.
It will. Like, it made me
Yeah.
think of when my mother-in-law passed away. Like, when she retired, she sailed. She was a big sailor. She was one of those women that did it was kind of a no-no back in when she started sailing in 1960, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
what we did with her ashes was we spread it out in the Atlantic Ocean for her
Oh.
but that's what meant a lot to her.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes so much sense,
the
though.
environment was important to her, so she's out there helping. My mother, obviously, like I said, is still here, and
Yeah,
she doesn't. She's Catholic, so she doesn't want to be cremated. So it just depends on.
I understand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what her thing is. But I just I want to have to be cremated because then
me
I can be
too.
spread out in the woods. I like
Yeah,
right.
just somewhere fun, you know what I mean? But nobody wants to be in a ground kicking up daisies. Like, I don't wanna do that. No.
No, you're just in one place, and
Yeah.
you want to like Deandra, you want to be adventurous, right?
Yeah.
And I like the fact that you put some of her ashes under the tree because she's going to be there and it's gonna grow. I
Yeah.
believe that it's going to grow and bloom properly.
I hope so. I really hope so. I'll keep you posted, but
Yes,
I have no green thumb by any stretch of the imagination, so this will be a win either
it's going
way.
to attract red birds. It's going to attract red birds. Right?
Stop it. It might. It might.
I'm just trying to be very optimistic. I mean, it won't be immediately, but it will come.
Yeah.
And
Just give it
so,
time.
do you think the biggest takeaway that you learned from writing this book?
That I'm
Or it
Resilient.
doesn't have to be one takeaway, but what are some takeaways that you learned about yourself or that you could share with others to learn?
Yeah, the foremost lesson that I could take from this is that I'm resilient. And I really thought, and this could be my naivete, I don't know, but I really thought that when my mom passed, I would die. I would die with her. Like the part of me that is feeling, the part of me that longs for the love that my mom, the kind of love that my mom gave me, and only that she could give me. I felt that I would be just lost without her. But her passing, I think, to be symbolic, it really gave me wings just to be myself, just to be more free and to stop worrying, stop all that fussing. That's what my mom used to say, stop all that fussing. Like I'm more resolute in my belief systems of when it comes to death. I was so afraid of it. I was so afraid of it. I was afraid of what it would look like. I was afraid of what it would look like to lose somebody close to me. And I'm okay. Like I really am okay. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I could have ever taken from having written this book.
Yeah, it's true. You are okay now and you're gonna be okay.
I hope so.
It is hard to acknowledge the bad stuff like that.
I
But
know.
I think the healing with your book, it was probably helpful. It did probably help you heal. It helped you look
Yeah.
help you look forward. Is that the
It
right word?
did. It did. It really did because like I said, it started off as just like this me just, writing in my journal and I was like, "Wait a minute. This is actually pretty good. Maybe I should go somewhere with this." Like I don't even know what I was thinking, but then it came down to editing it. Then it came down to me shopping the book and trying to get it published and then I ended up, self-publishing the book through Amazon and I had a team of editors helping me help me do the cover. It was such a process. It really just seemed like it was heaven sent, the entire process. I had no problems with it. It was unfettered at best. It really was. It was an unfettered process for me in publishing this book.
I like that. I'm glad that the self-publishing is helping people like you. It's allowing more stories to get out there and not
Yes.
gatekeepers. There's in the past, or I shouldn't say gatekeeper, but
No, gatekeeper.
yeah, too many, too many gatekeepers, and I think it's free. I should say free for all. We just want to hear them. That's why I started like my podcasting because I like to share stories like this. And I'm
Yes.
actually, I wrote a book about my stepfather who passed away unexpectedly,
Oh,
and that he was, I didn't appreciate him at the time. I was 16 when my
yeah. You
mom
were
and
a
him met.
baby. You were a
I
baby.
had attitude, but then, when you're 16, you do. But he was the best influence on me. And your mom had,
Mm,
right? I needed a father figure. I didn't really have one. And that's who he was. And we need that as well. And my mom, he gave my mom confidence. Right?
mm.
Is that the right word?
That's the right word.
But it's something that your mom had a lot of confidence, and she just teaching in general,
Yeah.
she probably impacted so many students.
Oh, she did. She really did. I just remember like reading, we had her memorial at this family funeral home and like tons of like letters and emails poured in when people discovered that my mom had passed. And it was so touching. It was very touching to see the lives that she's impacted.
That's why I have such respect for teachers
Me
because
too. Me too.
they try not to be in the spotlight. They're just helping,
Yeah.
people see what's in, they can learn
Yeah.
and I think it's just so important. My sister, people thought she was I kinda convinced my sister to become a teacher because
Oh.
I joke that to be a teacher, you're actually really an actor. I mean, because you have to know how to, what I'm saying, present yourself in front of especially on the kids' age. My sister
Yeah.
teaches middle schoolers, but I joke, but my sister was really good at being in the moment, and I'm definitely your mom. I mean, I
Yeah.
just am. I have so like I said this a million times, but so much respect for teachers,
Me
and
too.
they want to help the future generation. And I think she kind of was, in a way, a mentor to them, right?
Yeah. That's ideally what a teacher is. They're your
Hmm.
mentor. They're helping you. And with my mom's case, because she taught literature, English literature, and some British lit, she just got to be the person that they would go to for like writing critiques. And I'm trying to write a letter to get into this college. Can you help me? Like she was so good about that kind of stuff, you know? And
Oh,
it's,
I love that.
uh, I know, I love that too. She was just such a marvel. Such a
And
marvel.
it's very, and what did she, I didn't ask earlier, but what did she pass away from? What was her?
So, like I said,
Okay.
no,
Sorry, I know
no,
your
no, no, no,
aunt.
no, not about her, but about my aunt.
Yeah.
She died similarly
Really?
to my
Oh,
aunt and her mom.
okay.
But hers was a little different. She had woken up the morning that she died. She had texted all the kids and was like, I feel better because she had had a sinus infection and she had gone to the doctor the day before her death. And they'd given her an IV bag of fluids because she was dehydrated, because she was like not able to like blow her nose. And she was just like, just having drainage and all that stuff. So fast forward to the next day, the day that she died. She had texted us at 8:30 in the morning, and then we didn't hear from her again. And my mom was terrible about like answering her phone. She would have it in the kitchen, she'd have it in somewhere where it shouldn't have been. But my twin sister, I was holed up in a conference room at work, and so I was in my office, and I was like, why do I have like 10 missed calls? And they were all from my twin and one from my older sister. And so I called my twin. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, have you talked to mom? And I was like, no, no, I got that text message this morning, but I've been in meetings all day, so I haven't had a chance to reach out. Is she okay? And she was like, well, I don't know. I've been trying to get a hold of her. And I was like, let me call Lincia and have her go over there to do a wellness check, because Lincia's house was like a stone's throw from my mom's house. And so Lincia went over there and discovered her body.
And she was all by herself.
Yeah, I, she was all alone in her bed. She had taken a shower, and I don't know what happened from the point that she sat down on the bed to the time that she died, but she just died. She
And
just
she
died.
sounds like she probably did have a stroke. I would just,
Yeah, she probably did. So
right.
the autopsy came back, and that was basically what the clear finding was. Yeah, she
Right.
died the same way her sister and her mom died.
That's kind of makes you want to think about, I'm just, it
My
happened to
health.
your family, your health, and you want to
Yes,
appreciate what we got. Be grateful, right?
I
Be
am.
what you're doing. And people, if you're watching the video here, she's got some dogs, and I love that you have dogs. I think dogs are very help you be in the moment. I think that
Yes, they do.
especially after dealing with what you dealt with, be in
Yeah.
the moment. It's a great reminder of just to gotta appreciate this.
I know, and my mom knew how much I loved her. That is the only solace that I have. Like I talk to my mom like 5 times, 6 times a day, and she would always be like, "Oh my god, what do you want?" But I know that she secretly loved it, and I'm gonna tell myself that until the day that I die, but,
Right, she
um,
loved it,
she loved it. I know she did, and I loved her, and she loved me, and it was a pure love. It was something that I will never have again.
right? But you have these great memories. I think that's what's important, and that's writing this book is
Yeah,
helpful. It helps preserve those memories, right?
it does, it does.
Because one day, I don't do you have any children? Or
No, my
okay,
husband and I decided long ago that we were never
okay,
gonna have kids. It
okay,
just wasn't our thing. We
right,
wanted to travel, see the world more, and our dogs are our children, basically. So, yeah.
right. My shirt, you can't see it. It says, "Sorry, I can't have plans with my dogs." But
Exactly. That's
I
me. That is me.
I do have sons. I wasn't expecting to have sons. I guess I was meant to be a boy mom because I'm an
Yeah.
army brat.
Yes.
But they're men now. But my husband and I weren't expecting. I was the first one to get married, the last one to have kids because
Mm.
I wasn't. I didn't want them, and because I helped raise my sister. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
did
I get it.
the work because I had to help my mom, and
Yeah.
because she went back to school to get her PhD kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's you've got to leave this legacy for other family members to understand.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and I think that this book and the books that follow will be my legacy, will be my imprint on this world,
yes.
and I feel comfortable with that and happy with that choice.
So what recommendation do you have for people who want to write but are afraid to? What can you give them some inspiration to do that?
Well, if you're a memoirist like I am, because I can't make fictional characters happen for myself. I just can't. I draw from life. But if you are writing a memoir or just even writing a piece of fiction, that's fine. You have to be comfortable with getting deep, going to other levels that you have never explored before in the hopes that someone will understand your message. You have to be vulnerable. Writing allows you the freedom to be creative, to be all the things that you probably aren't in life, but that you wish that you were. And writing a memoir is more than a notion. I think that in terms of, because some people in this book are not shed in a nice light, and that's fine. It's my truth, it's my story. And I was afraid that that would be problematic for me, that I would have a hard time wondering, oh God, what if this person reads this? And pretty soon you don't care. Like at one point, I was just like, I don't give a
Especially as we get older, right?
okay. I'm going to be 46 next month and I don't have time.
Right?
Okay. This is my story. This is my lived experience. And as such, if you're true to yourself in the writing process, then you should have no regrets. None.
Right? And I also it makes me just my instinct is that doing this, writing this book can help you move forward in life. It just
Yeah.
you pivot if you want to change. Some people want to change, but they don't. And then
Yeah.
you look back on your life, and then what are you going to do for the rest of your life? This, I think, this is important. It's a great reflection. A memoir is a great reflection. Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out if I want to either make a second edition of this book or a sequel or a prequel. I'm not sure where it's going to land, but I have a working title in my head and I'm just trying to work around that and trying to build up the character arcs and
right.
diagram where I'm going to go with the story. So I'm like, 2 months in and I'm like just hammering my keyboard and just trying to get this story out.
It's good, and you can get feedback from other people. And
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
a lot of people don't realize, but a lot of fiction books are based on real
True
stories.
story.
And
I
they just
know.
that's what I think it makes me the red bird. I love the idea of that. You could expand on
Yeah,
that.
I know.
I just think that is so helpful. So,
Thank you.
Deandra, where can people connect with you or learn more about you?
Yeah, well, I have a website and it's really simple. It's booksbydeandra.com. And I'm the only one, so you'll be able to find me. And then, of course, if you are on Instagram, my handle is just my full name, Diandra Ford-Wing. And then I'm also on LinkedIn, and still the same thing. My handle is Diandra Ford-Wing, and those three places are the best way to connect with me.
I love that. And for those that are listening, I will include the links that she mentioned in the description so you can focus on driving if you're right. I just want people to be safe. But no, most of my stuff that I get views are actually on videos. So
Oh, I love that.
which I think it happened during COVID. I made a pivot doing more videos, and
Yeah, smart
because I
woman.
think people wanted to see each other's faces
Yeah.
because of the lockdowns and so forth. But
Yeah, what a time. COVID was a trip,
I know
wasn't it? It was such a trip.
it's yeah, yeah, it was insane, good and bad. I kind of you're probably like me, a little rebellious. So I wonder why that is. Army brats, right?
Exactly. We are known rebellious people. It's true.
I'm so glad we connected, and I hope we get a chance to connect again. And
Yes, ma'am.
thanks for listening, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank y'all.